All right, sales of Ferraris with hybrid engines have overtaken those of traditional models for the first time. Some 51% of Ferrari's cars sold between July and September were hybrid, compared to 43% in the previous 3 months and just 19% a year ago. Car deliveries just up 9%, 3,459. Revenues up 24% to 1.5 billion euros. Net profit up 46% from the same period last year, the third quarter, 332 million euros between July and September. Bringing it to Nigeria, joining us now, Oluwatobi Ajayi is the CEO, chair, founder of Nord Automobiles, and he's very flexible because he joined us on short notice, and I appreciate having you in the studio. Good morning to you, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
What do you make of what Ferrari is doing and whether we can have hybrid? Are you making hybrid vehicles?
Yes. We're making the three, like CNG, electric vehicles, and internal combustion engine vehicles. So, and that's one of the advantages of, because like I said, I've said it a lot of times, the auto industry is an old industry, it's more than 100 years old. And in recent years, the gap in technology can be closed fast, maybe a couple of years, 5 years, 10 years, as against what happened maybe 50 years ago. So now, instead of, the giants have to wait and do a lot of things, but for us, we can do the same thing they are doing in very short period, which you can see the example in Tesla, catch up very quickly. So for us, in Nord, for example, we have electric vehicles, which we have not fully launched it, but we've shown some clips of the R&D, and how we can do it, the test driving in University of Lagos campus. We also have the CNG vehicles, which we've sold to some state governments like the Ogun State, and some other companies like transport companies, for example, bought some of our CNG buses. We also did electric vehicles. A bank financed I don't know if I should mention the name of the state, a state in the north, bought 120 units of electric vehicles for intercity transport.
Well, this is what should be making the news, not House of Reps people ordering 130 million naira foreign. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. So when people say so I always say the executive arm, especially the state governments, and even the federal governments, like for example, I said police, the civil defense, the universities, they always buy Nord. The government is buying Nord. The executive arm. So I do not understand why the Senate and the House of Rep is not buying.
Going for
maybe I don't know. Maybe they just need to get a little more familiar.
Yeah. Let's talk price. We just showed one of your SUVs there. I think I saw you tweeted it. The company tweeted it. Also, there were pictures of it being manufactured or being put together. How much does this thing cost?
It's 60% the price of the same quality from Japan.
Okay.
Yeah, similar quality. So I'll mention it to you. It costs about 60 million naira.
Okay. So 60 million naira. Few Nigerians outside of government order brand new vehicles, right? So how important is it to develop a second-hand market for those that can't afford? I can't afford a 60 million. Maybe you can. You're the CEO, but I can't afford that. But so, talk about the second-hand market. How do we get that?
So this is top of the range.
Okay,
like the top.
We have 1%. The Dr. Abatis of this world.
So we have vehicles. We have sedans that are around 13 million. Okay. Even the electric vehicle we launch is going to go for around 9-10 million naira.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's about less than $10,000. Yeah,
but that's a sedan.
But it's a sedan. Yes, right. It's a sedan, and we are planning it for the mass the ride-hailing services. Yeah. So we have vehicles around 13 million, 14 million. You understand? So, but to answer your question, on second-hand vehicles. Yeah. You can only have second-hand when people have got the first-hand. So the government needs to actually help us in that way. I'll say help. They need to assist. They need to buy. Because the government currently is the biggest buyer of vehicles in Nigeria.
Right.
So when the government, it's just like I said, it's a low-hanging fruit. One of the reasons why Peugeot was successful in Nigeria at that time was because the government of Nigeria at that time just made it mandatory. Once you're in government, you need to drive this vehicle that is made in Nigeria. Now we have Peugeot is French. Now we now have made in Nigeria by Nigerians, owned by Nigerians. I do not understand why it's not that straightforward. Right. So if the government pushes this, and makes it mandatory for every civil servant to buy this. After 4 years, you're going to have a very giant second-hand market. And because, like I said, for Nord, for example, our vehicles are excellent. They would any bid we go for that merits is the main thing. We always win the bid.
Yeah.
We always win the bid. So after 4 years, I'm sure when it moves to the second-hand market, people will start to see that, wow, these Nord vehicles are excellent. Then let me buy more. And that's what happens. In 10 years' time, we're already dominating the market. Yeah. But it's a step-by-step process. And we cannot jump this step.
Yeah.
It has to start from the government.
What's your production capacity like? Where the factories, where the assembly plants and so on? What can you put numbers to what you can produce?
Yes. We have 2 factories. We have one in Ekpe, in Odogiri area of Ekpe in Lagos State. We also have another innovation center. We also has their assembly plant, which are in University of Lagos. So in the University of Lagos, we can produce 5 vehicles a day, 1 shift.
Okay.
In Ekpe, we can produce 10 a day. So if you add both together, 1 shift, we can do about almost 5,000 vehicles a day, 5,000 vehicles a year.
Okay.
But if you add both shifts, you're talking about 9,000 vehicles a year.
Okay, thanks for that. Now, what do you need to boost your capacity? Is it electricity? Is it skilled manpower? Is it steel? What do you need?
The biggest issue is steel.
Steel?
Yes, I will do anything to solve that problem. And for me, it's quite straightforward because this is a giant industry. Yeah. Even at the moment, even without the credit, you know, even with the fact that Nigerians have to bring out 100% of their money to buy vehicles, import it in, last year, we did about 3.55 billion US dollars. So if we have a market where even 20% of that is made in Nigeria, the incentive to actually even help the government set up this at least flat sheet steel process will be done. And regardless of whatever happens, we are working with some partners to actually do this. Because I've done our analysis and realized that if we make our steel sheets here in Nigeria, we can be a lot more flexible, and the price of these vehicles will drop by at least 30%.
Wow. Yes. Okay. And so, well, there's the whole Ajayi steel thing.
Yeah, that's what I said. We're going to do it. We're planning something from the private sector. We're having some conversations with some private partners. Their fear, which is why I want the government to do, their fear is that, yes, Nigeria has a big market, but how are we sure that market will come to you? Yeah. So we need to convince them that we can get just 20% of our current market. And the investment will be done.
Yeah. See, that is one of the crucial issue with or target for this administration, bringing investment in. So, vehicle financing. I have to ask you about that because you mentioned it's about Nigerians having to pull out money from their pockets. There is some vehicle financing going on. Some banks, 1 or 2 banks, a few banks are doing it, but it's not widespread. So, in South Africa, or, you can lease a car for 3 years and return it, just paying monthly. What is it a risk of defaults? How do we, do you have if you're selling a Nord vehicle now, is there a bank person sitting there that can do a financing? What's your take on it?
So I've always said it. I think the auto industry would sell maybe 10 times more a year, even more, if we introduce financing. But there's a way to solve that problem. It's very easy. So I'm going to give you the solution. I'm a businessman.
Hey, you are the best person to talk about this.
I think about solutions. So when I say problem, all I think about is a solution.
Yeah.
And when I think about how to create jobs, how to make the country better. Now, what we need to do is, for those who want to keep buying vehicles, foreign vehicles, just for the brand, because like I said earlier, we've assured you that the quality is good enough. But we also understand that maybe there's a gap in brand equity. So if you decide to say, okay, even after the assurance that you get the same value for like half the price, and you want to buy this foreign brand, so buy it, but pay a levy for brand new vehicles. So we don't put pressure on those that want to buy used vehicles, the middle class and lower. So for those in the elite, let them pay a levy for bringing in brand new vehicles and maybe 2-3 years old vehicles. Then that levy, which will be gotten by the federal government and goes to the NADDC, will now be used to do some things. One of them is NADDC sets up the R&D center because you need to continue to innovate so that we can compete. I don't want to just be the Nigerian champion. I want one day to be able to sell Nigerian vehicles in Europe, in America. That's the dream. So now I want them to know that Africans can do these things, that Africans can make our own things. Because actually we can. If you go to the factories in Germany everywhere, you see Nigerians making their own cars. But in Germany, why are we not doing that here in Nigeria? So after we do that, we get the R&D, we show that we can do these things. Then a part of the funds, the levy, would go to assemblers like us, you know, low interest loans, which will be used to compete with the rest, because the giants in the US, in Japan, are getting low interest rates, you know. So we have to do the same thing, which will come from this levy. Then after that, I'll call it, you fund the supply side of the equation. Then you move to the demand side of the equation. So someone like you, Rotus, that you feel, oh, you cannot buy. No, you can actually if it's financed.
Right.
So you say, okay, Rotus, okay, I have this vehicle, I want to buy a used vehicle. No, don't buy a used vehicle. As long as it's a made in Nigeria vehicle, deposit what you have and spread the rest over like 3 years, which will be funded by the funds from this levy. Okay. So that's the way to solve the problem.
So you're leaving the banks out of this? I mean, shouldn't banks be able to fund?
There's no way banks will be the one, because this is how I think it will work.
Yeah.
The customer at the port will pay the levy to the customs.
Okay.
The customs will transfer the money to CBN.
Okay.
CBN will notify NADDC.
Yeah.
You know, then NADDC and CBN, in conjunction with commercial banks, will now facilitate.
It's an interesting idea. I mean, you know, if you have, I mean, there's already levies though on vehicles coming in, right?
No, there is no. There's no levies. There are no levies on commercial vehicles. Okay. Brand new commercial vehicles.
Right.
So people can just bring in a brand new commercial vehicle now, trucks, anything, and they pay nothing. There's no levy currently on brand new commercial vehicles, and I think that is really, really bad.
But there are fees to clear from customs now. I mean, if you think about people who sell vehicles here, what they have to pay to clear the type.
So I can explain it to you. So now, if you bring a commercial vehicle fully built, you pay 10% duty only.
Right.
If you also bring in knockdown vehicles like semi-knockdown, you also pay the same 10% duty, which means that there is really no incentive for you. Because when you bring in knockdown vehicles, you have added costs. You need to bring it in a container, you need to have a factory to do this. But for anybody that just bring it fully built, it's paying the same duty as you, 10%. Gotcha. But all they need to do is buy 20,000 naira fuel at the port and drive it away. Gotcha. So there's no incentive to produce. Gotcha. Then for the passenger car vehicles, there is, I think, a 20% levy, which is not enough to discourage them, you know. So I think the levy should be increased brand new, so that you don't, like I said earlier, so we do not put pressure on the middle class, because the middle class is not buy brand new at the moment, right? Yeah. So we don't put pressure on the middle class and the poor people in the society. Yeah. We protect them from this. Yeah. But the elites, let them pay. If you want to show that, oh, you're the elite of Lagos and you don't want to buy brand new, all well and good, but you need to pay the levy, which will be used to develop our country. Ideas.
1 minute to go. Insurance. How do there's an insurance penetration problem. No, it's across Africa, not just Nigeria, less than 1% or so here. When you sell a car, is there an insurance agent already there to sell it with when you're selling it? Or how do we improve vehicle insurance penetration?
So I think in recent years, as a professional in the industry, it's really improved. Most people, especially commercial vehicles, people who use their vehicles, even for real estate, they always insure their vehicles, and I think it has really improved.
Well, when you say commercial, you don't mean downfall buses, right? Because those guys,
no. But if you see, that shows that Nigeria is really improving. If you see, step by step, they have been phased out, step by step, and I think with the new, because I think that they're going to launch some CNG buses soon. You know, I think 3,000, and we're working with it with the government. So I think when those buses come in, I think you'll see a lot more cost-effective and newer buses on roads all over Nigeria.
I just got a question in my head. Everybody's asking questions. CNG or electric? They're asking which is better. I mean, there's an environmental aspect, there's a cost aspect.
So it's a very tough, but there's no direct question to
you want to sell both.
So no. But I would say personally, at the moment, I like electric vehicles. It's smoother. The acceleration is faster. It's nicer for me personally. However, we are in Nigeria where we have some issues with infrastructure. So until we bridge that gap, I think we have to start doing CNG, because Nigeria is actually a gas giant. Right. With a drop of oil, we have enough gas. So we should actually use what we have. Right. You know, then with time, develop what we want to be.
The West loved, all climate activists just loved what you said about electric cars, so you'll probably be exporting north to America and the UK and so on. Oluwatobi Ajayi, CEO, chair, founder of Nord Automobiles, thank you so much. for joining us. Really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you very much.